If I get an air-to-air intercooler, can I not get an aftermarket heat exchanger? If you own a VR30 and this is your first turbocharged car, you're not a mechanic, you're not a car guy, not a technician or anything, I recommend you watch every single one of my videos because I basically talk about topics in a very easy way for anybody to understand. Here's some VR30 vocabulary. I wrote it down right here so you could read it. But the whole point of having a heat exchanger is to cool down the charged air from the turbocharger. The turbocharger is blowing hot air, all right? You need to cool that air so you get more oxygen to the engine. The heat exchanger's job is to cool down the air before it gets into the engine so you have more oxygen going to the engine, you can push more power. You're gonna hear terms like heat exchanger, interchiller, killer chiller, air-to-air intercooler. Those are all different forms of cooling down the charged air temperature before it gets into the engine bay. Those are all basically air coolers before it gets into the engine so you can keep consistent power. To answer your question, no, you do not need a heat exchanger if you get an air-to-air intercooler. The job of a heat exchanger is to cool down the hot charged air that's coming from the turbocharger. The job of air-to-air intercooler's job is to cool down the air that is coming from the turbocharger before it gets into the engine. They both have the same job of cooling down the air before it gets into the engine. They just do it in two different ways. One is air to water, the other one is air to air. Comment part 2 if you want me to make a video further discussing the details of the benefits of going air to air, air to water, doing an interchiller, killer chiller. I could do a video about that, but you just gotta comment part 2.